In this episode of the Fennell podcast, I'm talking how to deal with attraction and how it can, in fact, empower you. Stay tuned. Welcome to episode 2 of the Fennell podcast. And this week, I'm talking how to deal with attraction. And how to deal with attraction? Well, sometimes you don't even need to deal with attraction, you just follow it. You feel attracted to somebody, or you feel attracted to a holiday, or you feel whatever you feel attracted to. And sometimes the right thing to do is just to purely follow that attraction, that path of heart. It's simple. It's what we call a flirt. This thing's calling you. So you have a positive response to it. You have an energetic response that is the thing to do. That is the thing to pursue. I need more of that holiday in my life. But what if you can't take that holiday, but you can't stop fantasizing about it? You can't get any of your life lived because all you can think about is that holiday, but you cannot go there yet. What then? Or what if you're attracted to somebody else? What if you're in a committed relationship and you feel an attraction to somebody else? What if you feel an attraction to a certain body part? What do we do then? This can come up. This will come up because things will flirt with you. Life is flirting with you. Life is calling your attention to, in a sense, other parts of you. And that's interesting because once we know that life is in fact calling you home, calling you back to you, then you can start to follow it. You can just start to discover who you're really here to be. So let's unfold this. Let's break this down and find out how this can, in fact, empower you. Because if you don't pick this up, it may even disempower you. Yeah, it can disempower you like any addiction that isn't good for you. Things aren't always good for you, but the state gives you something. Perhaps the attraction to that person gives you something. The attraction to that substance gives you something. But you have to find out what it is giving to you. And we see this again get bigger as we get older. We get more called to, what the hell am I really here to do? So things will start at some point to really flirt quite hard with you. Will start to really call you. And your life may, for a moment, feel pointless because you're caught in one way of being and the flirt is calling you to another way of being. So what do we do? How do we empower ourselves? How do we bring awareness to what's really going on? Well, firstly, I think you have to acknowledge what is going on. That things may not always be right to follow. Maybe that person that you're attracted to isn't the right person for you, isn't going to get you where you need to go. But just dropping it won't also work too. We can use willpower. We can actually go, I'm going to drop it, like smoking. Sometimes you just go, I'm going to choose to drop that. But how often do you see with addictive processes that someone drops smoking and next minute they're addicted to chips? You know, just maybe. Sometimes that's what occurs. And we can, again, use willpower. We can just choose to drop things. But it often won't work because there's something in the substance, in the experience that's trying to come through you. And if we don't pick it up, it will generally come through in other areas. just like smoking and chips. But it can happen in relationships or wherever. So let's jump into that, because I truly tell you that this can radically change your life. And so you notice, perhaps you're in a committed relationship, a happily committed relationship, but you notice there's an attraction for somebody, or you notice you're attracted to a certain body part. Maybe someone walks past and you go, but I shouldn't look at that. Perhaps it's their shoulder that kind of grabs your attention, and it could be whatever. It may not be a shoulder, it could be something else, but that may be the thing that flirts with you. Let's stick with that. Let's not go too far down the garden path. Let's stick with the shoulder, but reminding you that it could be something else. And so rather than just purely pushing it away forever and going, I must not be attracted to other people's shoulders, or even the committed relationship that I'm in, maybe you're like, no, I don't want to be attracted. I want to see him or her for their brains and their intelligence and whatever. But you notice this attraction. And so what you need to do then is notice it for a moment. And this is inner work. You don't have to do this with this person. You can access it whenever you like. They don't have to be there. But you may notice that you see their shoulder, and you give yourself a moment to really see, really experience, and really look at that shoulder for a moment. And this is a meditative process, and then notice what it actually does to you. What happens to you? Are there new visuals that come up? Do you see new things? Is there something trying to come into your visual awareness? Or do you feel something? Do you feel an experience starting to come up? Oh, how interesting. I'm noticing when I see that shoulder, it kind of gets bigger, and maybe it glistens, and then I feel a kind of movement and experience that's coming up through me. Intriguing. And so you sit with that and allow that to happen. And then slowly start to notice what happens if you for a moment would actually become that shoulder, would actually become that experience. What happens then when you kind of start to move as the shoulder, as the thing that's calling your attention, that's trying to get your attention, actually become that experience? And so I could notice this, and if I noticed something, I'd notice in myself there's like this experience of life, this movement. It's like live. Rise up inside yourself. Don't get stuck in your everyday self. And it starts to move through me, and I start to move, and I start to feel this kind of message of live that rises up through me. And if I really followed that, and I would then ask myself, my everyday self, where is this needed in my life? How is this part of me speaking to me? And it was interesting. I did this little exercise. I was at some bike jumps, and so I'm riding my bike, and I'm riding okay. I'm trying to get as much air as I can. I'm not doing great, but I'm doing okay. And then I noticed something flirting with me. And there was a youthful vitality that started to come through me. And for a moment then I said, how could I use this? If I just for a moment gave this a moment to have its way with me, this youthful vitality. And, I'm like there with my 10-year-old son, which is all about youthful vitality. But I felt this experience come through me. And as I rode those jumps, I actually completely changed the way I rode. There was a youthful vitality to me, or I was getting air, or I was moving in a completely different way, in a more agile way. If I get stuck in my everyday self, I'm kind of more rigid and tight. And if I just free up, then I move. If I feel this experience, then I move more freely. I feel this movement, this excitement that is starting to come through me. And so it's just a better way to ride. But not only that, it's a better way to live. It's like, do I not just need this in my bike riding life? Maybe I can use this in more areas than just bike riding. Maybe this vitality could come through in multiple different ways. How would my life look? What would I say to me that feels a little stuck from this place? So if I felt into it and I felt that vitality coming through me, I think I'd say to him, live. I'd shake him up a little bit, which I notice happens anyway whenever I get too serious and I get tired. I've said this multiple times. It's like when I take my life too seriously, rather than actually taking this state more seriously, that shakes me up and says, live your life. This is it. This is the one shot you have. So live it. So that's what starts to come through in that moment. To live. To live in all the areas of my life when there's challenges and problems. So, could this be the answer when there's stress? We know that we're all going through stress at the moment. There's changes and COVIDs and restrictions and this and that, and that's all happening. And maybe this, sometimes the government looks a little serious and a little, what could you say, totalitarian, like a serious parental figure, which is okay. Sometimes we need that, and that role can come through, and it's like, behave, or we want you to be safe. Good for you. But two, who can stand up to that? Because maybe my everyday self is a little bit like, okay, I'll behave, I'll be good. That's what I've taught to do. I don't want to hurt you. I want to be a good boy. But this part says, maybe I want to play in a slightly different way. Maybe this part could be valuable to me because it's unknown to me. And so the thing that attracts me is trying to guide me into a different way of being. And even in your relationship. So when you fall in love with somebody, you fall in love and it's like, this thing about them, they're so funny and fun and vibrant, and I love that about them. And we project our power onto them. We say, they're so funny and they're this, which is true. And they're extraordinary, and you do see that extraordinariness in them. But if you really want to power this relationship, if you want to take it to the next level, then you start to pick this up more inside of you. How is this me that I'm seeing? How is this quality in them? Because somebody else might not see this in them. This is what you see. This is what you're attracted to because you're magnetized to this part in you. And so you start to pick this up inside of yourself. You realize, maybe I'm funny, maybe I'm smart, and who would I be? Not like them. I'm not saying suddenly you're exactly the mirror image of them, but rather, how does this breathe through you, and what is it trying to tell you, and how does it kind of interact with your DNA and form something new, something more interesting to you? Because then, my friends, you have an unbelievably empowered relationship. Because fundamentally, yes, we're having a relationship with each other. Yes, we're a community. But firstly, we're having a relationship with the diversity that lives inside of us, all the other parts. And the parts that we shame and we push away and we don't get to see and we don't want to play with. Well, this part says this is a part in you. You're attracted to her for a reason. Going off and having an affair, sometimes that's exactly what you need. Sometimes that is the separation of the relationship that's needed. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the thing about them, because we know that, if I was with them, my life, I'd be exciting and it'd be amazing and the affair would be incredible. And it may be, but it may not be. It may be painful and hurtful and destructive and time destroying. Maybe. But at the very least, you have to get to what it is that's calling you. Otherwise, it's going to keep on calling you. Now, I'm not saying that we should trigger addictions. So perhaps there's like a sex addiction and you go out and you're straying away. And so we start to think about this and you're like, that brings that up. No, we need to do this gently and we need to understand the signals more deeply that are calling for you. You're attracted to yourself. How do we deal with attraction? You pick it up inside yourself. And then that attraction may be a different you that wants to play with the world in a different way. So it doesn't just become individual work. But in a sense, it becomes group work, it becomes community work, it becomes tribal work. How do I integrate with this tribe in a different way? And guess what? That role that you're called to may not just be there for you, but may be there for all the tribe. Maybe the thing that you're attracted to is exactly what this tribe needs. What this tribe is also calling for. The thing that it's calling for is coming up through you. And then you become the leader because you bring this new thing to the tribe. And it doesn't mean you have to stand at the front as the king, but you bring this new essence to this world. And it changes the dance, it changes the dynamic. Yeah, it could trigger some people too. That's okay too. And so that's where we dance with all those different roles that are playing out within that group. But we start with being more fluid with who we are, and the attraction frees up the rigidity of who you think you should be and starts to connect you to another way of being. As silly as the shoulder is, that person is, it's the key to you discovering another you. And don't push it away. There's a lot of modalities that say just ignore it and push it away, it's not good for you. But no, explore it, because something is trying to happen to you. Something is trying to change you. And if we can sit in the river of our own way, we can start to bring awareness to who it is we're really trying to be. What's the direction of our flow? And this is what flirts are telling us. The direction of our flow. How interesting am I that this would want to take me this way? Something to play with. Even with a holiday. How do I need more of that? How do I need to bring more of that holiday state? If you can't take it, or you've just been to it on a holiday and you have to come back, how do I bring more of that state back into my everyday? It too is a flirt, my friend. So play with that. Play with attraction. Explore what it is that it's really calling for you, because it can empower your life. If you don't, that power will push up against you and won't let you be free. That power, in a sense, will cage you. The power that you have, your own power, if not picked up, will cage you. But there's an opportunity. Now you have awareness. Now you know what's really going on. Now you can play. And if you don't fully understand this, or your own play, or your own what's calling you, you can also work with me. Don't forget that, my friends. And so there it is. How to deal with attraction. Hope you got something out of that. Until next time, I'll see you then.